Hello, it's me, it's John. Welcome to another episode of Playhouse Live. How's everyone doing this fine Saturday evening? John, how are you doing?
I am doing great. I actually had a blast watching you play Sonic 2.
Is that a treasured game for you? Do you hold that high in your
I
gaming
I do.
pantheon?
I do actually because I went from Nintendo to Sega. I never had a SNES when I was growing up. So Sonic 2 was a game near and dear to my heart, still is, and a game I've never beaten. I've gotten many times to the final boss and I've never beaten that game.
Yeah, okay. Um, I was ragging on it pretty hard, so
Yeah.
I apologize.
Dude, look, I think it's even with how much I rag on Crash. So we're good. All right?
Fair enough. No, that's my go-to gaming hot take. Whenever you see one of those Twitter threads, what's your gaming hot take? It's other than Sonic Mania, Sonic has never had a good video game.
Savage.
Yeah.
3 wasn't too bad. Three was a lot better than 2. I beat 1 maybe last year. That was the first time I ever played 1 because when I got the Sega for my birthday, it actually was packaged with Sonic 2. So when I actually went back to Sonic 1, there are so many quality of life improvements that were in Sonic 2 that were not in Sonic 1. Like the spin dash. I had no idea that wasn't in the game.
Oh, yeah. Weird. Do you have one of those a locked and loaded gaming hot take that isn't related to Crash? You can take Crash
not.
if you want. Yeah.
No, it's usually Crash is my go-to, but not really. The older I get, the more I'm I really don't care for first-person shooters.
Yeah.
Actually, and this is more video game hot take and movie hot take.
Okay.
I think jump scares are stupid.
Okay.
I think you can do a lot more with horror if you decide to actually get into the psychological aspect of it. But oh no, here's my hot take, and 100% believe this.
Okay.
Five Nights at Freddy's is not scary at all.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it is not scary.
Tell me more about that. Tell me more. Why is it not scary? Why did everyone flock to it then?
I think it's because people really do get very interested in the jump scares, and that's what's nice. There's a sense of dread the one time I played Five Nights at Freddy's, but I went in blind. I didn't really know what it was about, and as I'm sitting there playing this game, the concept of it just never really grabbed me. I'm I'm the one that likes the weird animatronics, so I and weird mascots. So I don't know if that was why I dig it, but I've never. The last game that scared me was PT, and then before that was Clock Tower on the PlayStation 1.
Mm-hmm.
So that, yeah.
We haven't really talked about this yet, but in 2 weeks we're planning to do some sort of horror game stream together.
Yes.
How do you think you're going to cope with Phasmophobia?
Probably fine.
Okay.
I actually really hope it kind of freaks me out, but I'm probably going to be cool.
I want people to clip out probably fine and just put that next to the supercut of John screaming.
And that's fine. If I get scared, or I'll actually do a jump if I'm doing something and I'm not prepared for something else. Bendy and the ink machine, I don't think is very scary. The time I jumped is because I turned and Bendy's the Boris character was right behind me. I didn't know he was actually following me.
Yeah.
And he was my friend, but that's about it. I don't find games too scary. I'm more of a psychological person, so I love detention. Detention freaked me out, but not screaming in the sense of what you would expect content creator to stream as.
Right. Speaking of tension, Joe.
Yes.
There is some mounting tension between this heated battle between the two next-gen systems.
There it is.
This week we've had another head-to-head matchup between the two giants. As I say, we'll start with Sony, because they probably had they had the only reveal. We'll get to our other stories when we get to them. But yeah, the PS5 UI has been officially revealed as of Thursday. I thought it was funny to note that the moment they dropped that video was the same time approximately as when the embargo for the people who had Series X's, they could talk about.
Yeah.
That was the same time. Not a mistake. That is some shady tactics, but I appreciate it. So there's a lot to cover in this. It's a state of play, right? Just they dropped a
Yeah.
state of play. I guess that's what these are
I
now. They like
I guess
focus
so.
on a
Like I
specific
didn't know
thing.
that either. Like watching, I was like, wait, this is a state of play.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Um, they started off. They jumped into the first thing they talked about was the I forget what they call it. Hold on, let me pull it up here. The control center is the name of the thing I was looking for. Yeah, means you can access it from the play button, PlayStation button without leaving your game. You can easily jump back into the button from that. Then there are these cards, they call them. They show different things like different news updates for the game. These things called activities, which are sort of like tracking your progress with achievements, but level by level. And they will change their makeup based on a specific game. It will say like how far you are through the game in terms of percentage tasks done, and like each level will show how much you've done in that level. And yeah, you can like use that to jump to specific points in the game, which I thought was cool. The really cool thing I thought that they showed off of this at the start was there are these. When you open up a card or an activity for a level, so they showed it off with Sackboy. So that works with levels. So that's why I'm using that. But like in open world games, it'll be different areas, I imagine. But with Sackboy, they showed like what they hadn't done yet, what items they hadn't collected yet. And then there were these little tips that you get from being a PS Plus member for some reason, but I can talk about that later. But basically, the little context-sensitive tutorials. It was funny the way the guy described it. It's like, so you don't have to do a web search as if it's like the 90s. I was like, oh yeah, a web search. Like, who does that nowadays?
Let me boot up AOL right now so I can search on the World Wide Web.
But the guy had a good point. These were made by the developers and make sure that you don't have to like look it up on YouTube and potentially get spoiled some stuff. Spoilers are a thing that came up more than once, and we'll get to that later. John, just like initial intake of like what we're seeing right now that I'm showing on stream, like how does this look? Does this look clean to you? Is this exciting? Is this getting you spicy?
It is getting me spicy, actually.
Okay.
I really, really like this. I every new generation, I actually like, all right, what's the UI going to look like? Because it's new, so I want it to feel new. And that's where I think Xbox is probably going to trip a little bit because we know it's going to be the same UI mostly.
Yeah.
But I really, really like what they did with this one. And I as we were watching the reveal, I remember maybe last year and a half ago, how PlayStation patented this weird like buddy system concept that like we were all trying to figure out like what is this, and now we know what it is, and it's exactly what you said. It was where, oh, you're stuck. Do you want us to kind of help you with that?
Yeah.
And it's the developer helping you out with that. I'm like, that's fantastic. I'm not a completionist, but there are some times like I really want to do this and I just don't know how. And I love the little card system of like, here's how you do it, and this is what you've missed. And I'm like, thank you, God. Give me a little check mark, and let's keep on going. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I'm spicy. I want this so bad.
What do you think about the fact that these little tutorials, these little inbuilt tutorials, are a PS Plus benefit?
That's a little weird. Honestly, I find that odd, but we're kind of in that age of you're probably going to have it anyway. But right. I think that should have been kind of open to anyone, because you don't have to lock it behind something, which that's exactly what they're doing, especially like entry level for, well, let's be honest, kids. This is a great way to be like helping them out to get past a point, especially on Sackboy. I love that they chose Sackboy to do this.
Yeah.
So I think that's a little like miscalculated to a point, but it's also, let's be honest, they probably have PlayStation, or mom or dad have PlayStation Plus anyway, so they're just using their account. But I think it would have been a little more consumer friendly if they were like, it's free. If you need it, it's there for you.
Yeah. I thought it was strange up to the point where I considered that this gives them a financial incentive to make these tutorials for their first-party games in a world where these tutorials will exist online anyway. And I think what's more important is that, and I don't know if they're doing this or not, but I considered like why they would charge for this. Maybe they're giving out like a little bit more cash to the third parties who also partake in this, right? If you say, hey, Assassin's Creed, if you like throw up little tutorials in there, we'll give you a little bit of that PS Plus honey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the only reason I could think of it. I just thought it was interesting to draw a comparison between that being like a random PS Plus benefit, where Xbox this week, I don't think they revealed it, but it was revealed at some point that you don't need Xbox Live to transfer cloud saves between 360, One, and Series X now.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Like they seem to be going in two different directions with that. One is trying to like add more value to this PS Plus thing. The other is trying to like remove the necessity of it altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then other highlights of this. They talked a little bit about party and voice chat. A lot of this seemed like very inspired from Discord, right? These guys don't need to reinvent the wheel. They've been looking at what has been taken off in PC and what features have clicked with people. So like they added just the ability to like instantly join these voice lobbies from within the game. You can like instantly join the game if you see like some other of your like friends are in parties with other people. Screen sharing is, I think, a big thing that a lot of people are going to find really cool. I think screen sharing is good for what I use screen sharing most in terms of gameplay is Jackbox games, which I think is really good. I think it's going to be really interesting as well for people playing MMOs, co-op games and such, to like have just that little picture-in-picture down there. I think that's really neat.
That one was cool to me. I mean, especially like, let's just say we're all hanging out and we're not playing the same game, but we can kind of watch each other, what each other are doing. That one was like weird enough that I'm like, I would actually use that because I think that's really cool that we're just like, hey, what are you doing right now? I'm in Monster Hunter. What are you doing? Well, I'm playing Spider-Man, and we're just all hanging out and talking, and we're not like legitimately focused on the game, more on just each other, which is, I think that's kind of the push they were going with, is like you're playing with friends, even though you're not actually playing the same game. And there's something very cool about that idea of just, oh, you kind of really thought this through, Sony, of just hanging out with friends and playing games, especially now with COVID.
Yeah. I thought it was really interesting as well that parties this time around, there seems to be a focus to, he said it in the presentation, to make it bigger than just voice chat now. So I think the idea behind it, they didn't really go into it that much, but I think the idea is that you will have a party set up for each of your friend groups, each of like your game you play, whether it's a raid party in an MMO or your squad in Star Wars Squadron. You're going to have like an individual group chat for each of these, and you're going to be able to like follow along and share screenshots and all that stuff with all of them. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays into it. It'd be cool if you could get like custom emotes for like different chats. Like if this is your Star Wars,
that would
chat,
be cool.
You can get like little animated C-3POs.
That would be freaking awesome. I would dig that.
And just instantly join multiplayer. I think what's going to be really interesting to see is they mentioned that the DualSense has an inbuilt microphone, where that's been a problem with me before, where I'm not always wearing a headset when I'm playing my PS4, and so if someone does invite me to like join a party, I'm like, I gotta get my headset and plug it in, and I gotta go off the couch and but it's like,
do this, connect.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I wonder how like garbage or not garbage that mic is gonna sound, because if it's fine, I'm just gonna be like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah,
hey,
just talking normally.
Yeah, if it's like, it could also sound like, it's like, what are you saying? Plug in your headset.
Like, put your headset to this. Weirdly enough, this is the only time I really use my headset.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't play with a headset. I don't like playing with a headset. I'm weird. But yeah, this is pretty much the only time I actually have a headset on.
All right. Right on.
So I'm excited to see that, but I'm with you. I'm very hesitant on the muffled sound.
Mm-hmm. They talked about the create menu, the new name for the share system for sharing screenshots of videos and stuff. Can be captured in 4K and shared to external services. The only external service they showed off was Twitter. Which is interesting because I don't know if you remember this, but last year support was dropped for Facebook. And the reason given for that was that both parties were trying to reach an agreement on how to improve that system. So in the meantime, Sony took it down, and then we just never heard from that again.
Which then would affect Instagram as well, because Facebook is owned, or Instagram's owned by Facebook. So
it's especially weird, and this is like really getting into the weeds now, but this stuff fascinates me. It's really weird when you consider at the start of this generation, there was like such a heavy push for Facebook integration with like, hey, you're no longer Demon Slayer 96 anymore, right? You're your Facebook profile. You can bring in your Facebook profile picture and your real name and stuff, and you'd all do it through Facebook. Hey, The Last of Us, Facebook integration. These are real friends in the game. And it's just like, yeah, I guess now they're like, ooh.
let's not touch Facebook anymore. Let's just keep on going with life. Yeah, I agree. I think it's weird.
Yeah.
But I'm probably not going to connect them to my Facebook anyway, so it's not a big deal.
I don't do it. And then, PS5 supports voice dictation for sending messages and stuff. That's cool. Again, the inbuilt microphone and that stuff working. I wonder if, again, they plan to do like a sort of Alexa Google thing where it's like, hey, I'm having trouble in this level, help me. But they never really touched on that, so nah. And again, another thing I thought was really cool, when you're sharing a screenshot, there's some sort of background processing in that where it determines if your screenshot is likely to have a spoiler of some kind. And so when you're sending that to another person, they're like, hey, just to warn you, this might be like character dies.
Might spoil the game for
character might die. Don't open it. It's virus, computer virus. No, I thought that was cool. Especially when like you're Sony, right, and a lot of your first party games are heavy story and you want to treasure those. Like I feel like those do matter. I'm not sure how many people share screenshots on their PlayStation anyway. Maybe that'll become more of a thing. I don't really communicate through PlayStation's ecosystem, like their social text message stuff. But hey, it's cool they have that, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's cool too, because it's the idea of like you can stream from your PlayStation, but if you get to a spoiler version of the game, it actually cuts off the stream and just like the blue screen comes on going, we're not showing this because of possible spoilers. So I think that's actually really cool. They figured out a way to integrate that into actually like just sending pictures to each other. That's actually really smart if you think about it.
And then they showed off a little bit of the PS5 home screen. I'm going to pull up a little image of that now so people at home can see it. Looks pretty clean. Again, what we've seen before. The immediate thing that stands out is they've separated games and media.
Thank God.
Yeah. I don't know if you do this, John, but all my media apps are in one folder on my PlayStation. And I just like let them sit in their own.
Pretty much, like we just use the media folder, but we have everything like Amazon Prime, Netflix, YouTube, Twitch, all of it, and it's just it's a little bit of a beating to just kind of 4 steps to get there. And I'm very happy to be able to flip over and let's jump into watch the Umbrella Academy or something.
Yeah, and they didn't show the media tab at all, which makes me think like I wonder, are they waiting for some third-party services to jump on? I'm like trying to picture in my head right now. It just looks a bit empty. I'm trying to picture what that would be. But in terms of games, like they said, again, the focus are on games. So today we're going to show off what that looks like. It seems that each little game has its own Explore tab where you can like see news for the game and explore your activities and like see screenshots and stuff. And that's similar to the control panel. And then they have the main Explore tab, which won't be available at launch outside of the US, which was a weird tidbit to add, but whatever. But that's just like a collection of all your different news feeds from all your different games that you care about. And the big thing for me was the PlayStation Store this time is completely integrated into the system UI. Not a standalone app. You just dive right in.
I love that.
Really, really
make it easy. Make it simple.
Yeah.
Not push, but kind of give more incentive of just going digital. I think that was a good call.
I don't know if you have the same thing with me, and this is like with Netflix too, where I have no intention of buying anything. I just browse, just like what's on sale right now. I'm just browsing. Add it to my wish list. Never gonna play it, but I'm adding it anyway.
That's me on the Switch. I'll do that all the time. Like, what's on sale? Do I want this? When am I gonna play it? Do I care? No, I don't. So
yeah. And then the last bits of info. Then the UI runs in 4K HDR. Neat. And they did showcase a little bit of switching between games, so they switched from Sackboy to Destruction All Stars, and that took
There it is.
around 8 seconds. Yeah. That was, keep in mind that was a cold boot. One of the things I thought was interesting was that how hard Xbox and people who've had their hands in the Series X have been pushing this quick resume feature. To be able to have like 5 or so games suspended in a save state and being able to instantly be able to jump between them. There was no mention of that sort of quick resume compatibility at this show. It was just that one cold boot of Destruction All Stars, which makes me wonder: do they have a similar thing? Who's to say? They could be keeping that for like another reveal on its own, because it does seem like a big game changer. So like last week on the Wednesday they had the console breakdown, and then this week they've had the UI reveal. So I imagine every week there's going to be another blog post detailing some different feature of the PS5. So quick resume could be one of those.
I'm good with that. We're close enough. We're less than 30 days away from both of them now.
Yeah.
Just now fill up my inbox and let me see everything. Like, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna play your games, but what are the like nitty gritty stuff that you haven't said yet that I want to know about?
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. Like, I never thought about that one. They didn't talk about the quick resume, and I'm actually really excited to see what that's like on Xbox's side. I'm kind of shocked we haven't seen that version or that part, the UI and showing quick resume from Xbox yet.
Yeah. There were a few though, like influencers and press who have done showcases in it. Alana Pierce, I think, did a really, really great one.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Showing some quick resume stuff and like why it's important. And also explaining how it's not about like no one plays their games that way, where it's like, I'm going to play 30 minutes of Sackboy, then I'm going to move on to an hour of Ghost of Tsushima, and then I'm going to switch back to Sackboy, and then I'm going to go to Ratchet and Clank, and it's going to be wild. Like, no one plays their games like that. It's about she specifically, Alana Pierce, talked about how she had the Xbox unplugged for 24 hours, plugged it back in, quick resume worked fine, she was able to just jump back into Ori, and that worked fine. It's about being able to like have, like, for most people they have like, I have like 1 or 2 games in rotation. Some people might have 3 or 4 or 5, and just being able to like skip the screens, jump back into them when you need to, even when the console is powered off. And so I think it is good. And I think it's a thing that PlayStation could spend a whole blog post on.
And it also works. I'm thinking of friends of mine who actually have kids, and that's a great idea to do it with. Like, dad's playing one game, and then all right, son, daughter comes in, and go ahead and you can play your game, and you just flip it over and they're good to go. So that is where I find it kind of exciting, just that quick resume, because like you, I think I have maybe 3 games in rotation, but the idea of like handing your controller off to a kid and let them go, I think that's going to be really something special that we don't really know how to comprehend it until we see it.
Yeah. So that's cool. Again, I don't think like a UI reveal is going to sell systems for a lot of people. Not that you can buy a PS5 now anyway. But yeah, cool to see. It's something we want to see for a long time. But yeah, that was Sony's reveal. That was your reigning defending champion of Sony and PlayStation. And now, from the green corner representing Xbox, he is the man known as Phil Spencer.
Papa Phil around here.
Yeah. Phil Spencer had an interview with Kotaku recently where he revealed some just little insights, just little things that we talk about in these podcasts, and people who do these type of things want to know. So yeah, there were a few questions. The big one and the big takeaway, I should get the name of the person doing the interview. That would have been something smart to do before Stephen Totleo?
Oh, no, I actually have it pulled up too. I follow along just in case. Hold on, I'm scrolling back up. Stephen Totleo? Yeah. Totilo. Totleo.
Sorry if I mispronounced your name, Stephen, but yeah. He first of all asked the question, is it possible to recoup a $7.5 billion investment if you don't sell Elder Scrolls 6 on the PlayStation? First of all, great question.
Yeah.
Phil responded, yes, I don't want to be flip about that. The deal was not done to take games away from another player base like that. nowhere in the documentation that we put together was how do we keep other players from playing these games. We want more people to be able to play games, not fewer people to be able to play, to be able to go play games. But I'll also say, in the model, I'm just answering directly the question that you had. When I think about where people are going to be able to play, or where people are going to be playing, and the number of devices that we had, and we have xCloud on PC and Games Pass and our console base, I don't have to go ship those games to any other kind of platform other than the platforms that we support in order to kind of make that deal work for us, whatever that means. People are taking this in different ways. Some people are saying, like, Bethesda aren't going to release Elder Scrolls 6 on PS5. It's not happening. Others are saying, well, like, he's sort of saying both things there. What do you take away from that quote?
I mean, right now with that one, Xbox kind of holds the power of where Bethesda games are going to come. I don't see anything close or on the horizon when I even add in like Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 to this, that I don't see Microsoft going, this is going to be ours. And I know we've talked about this before. I really do see them timed exclusive, probably. In-game exclusives, absolutely. But it would go completely against their, we've got games, here's the games, play the games. What actually interests me is I don't have to go ship those games on any other platform other than the platforms that we support in order to kind of make that deal work for us. That one is where it's interesting to me, where it's all right, we've got this, let's say, 5-year deal right here, and then we've got the 10-year concept of what we're doing. And I actually do wonder, is it going to like slowly trickle away to where Bethesda does actually become a full-on Xbox exclusive where you can play it on your phone, you can play it on your computer, you can play it anywhere if you have xCloud, because that's the magical thing that I love about this xCloud thing is everyone has a console then. Absolutely everyone can play console games with xCloud, so you're taking a player base that is dedicated to Xbox, where we're all buying those consoles, and you're expanding it to the millions upon millions of people who have Android and Apple phones. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what he's kind of looking at. Like, we'll still make the games. They'll still be everywhere for you, but the player base, the install base of Xbox Game Pass is going to be just absolutely insane thanks to xCloud. I think that's what he's kind of looking at, where it's, yeah, we can hold it back if we really, really want to. Let's be honest. Elder Scrolls is a console seller. As much as I've played one Elder Scrolls game, the fan base is so dedicated to that. Yeah, we're going to have people yelling, but they will buy the console. They will buy the Xbox to play that game. They will probably buy Starfield, or they'll probably buy the Xbox to play Starfield. But the concept of, you don't have to if you sign up for Game Pass and xCloud, because it's there on your phone. I think that's what he was kind of more hinting at as, no, we have the games, and if you don't want to buy an Xbox, we can still get you in the Xbox family through xCloud, which subscription base is easier to swallow at $15 a month than dropping $500. Because then you forget about it after 2 months.
Yeah.
I think that's what Phil's kind of like hinting at. Yeah, I'm sure they can probably just go, nope, it's all on our end. But even if they do, they're still going to be like, hey, xCloud, you can still play your game that you want. You can still play Elder Scrolls 7, I'll say that one, as long as you jump in on the xCloud and pay for Game Pass, which is weirdly more powerful because then there's a bigger install base than Sony and actually Nintendo combined.
Yeah.
Just on phones alone.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's interesting that you talked about xCloud. I'm thinking way more short term, and maybe this is me like pie in the sky thinking. But to me, if you're asked the question, can they recoup the $7.5 billion they invested in Bethesda without releasing it on PlayStation? I think in terms of Games Pass in the here and now, and I think about that's how they're going to measure the success of this deal, is how many additional people sign up to Games Pass. They have somewhere north of 15 million now on Games Pass, and I think over time this deal will double it. like when you Xbox are building this library of content, and each time they add things to it, the value of the service gets more and more real. And eventually, like, yeah, maybe like I'm not a huge Bethesda guy, maybe I'm not like gonna sign up for this for Starfield, but when you have Starfield and you have Doom and you have Deathloop and you have all these indie games and you have Halo, eventually it has a multiplying effect, and everyone reaches this tipping point where it's like, okay, now it's like I have to get Game Pass.
You have to.
Yeah.
And I just did the math, and it was 15 million that we've confirmed that have signed up for Game Pass, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
15 million, and I just took the Xbox Ultimate Pass because that's probably the better deal anyway, which is $15 a month. In a month, Xbox and Microsoft are making $225 million.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they could logistically go, you know what? It's an Xbox exclusive, but you can play it on Xbox Game Pass on your PC. It's done. Then you just get another 150 million people, and you're making $500 million a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can recoup that 7.5 million billion pretty fast.
It's interesting that you decided to do the math. I also on my clipboard, I also did some math. I think it's stupid. I think it's dumb because we're not like financial experts, and there's so many variables when it comes to Games Pass when you're like talking about like the cost of developing these games now for Xbox past the 7.5 billion and the other games they have to pay for to get on the service and the other operating costs, and revenue doesn't equal profit and all these other things. But it would be a fool's errand to do the maths, but I did it anyway because I'm a fool. So say that they have 15 million right now, somewhere north of 15 million. That figure was announced before the Bethesda deal, so I imagine it's up a million already or something ridiculous, right? So, but say from the date that they announced Bethesda, over the course of, we'll be conservative, we'll say over the course of 2 years, right? By the time Starfield comes out, we'll say they add 15 million new subscribers. And then we say, okay, 15 million people paying $15 a month for 12 months. That's a year. If you pay, if you continue to pay that over the course of a 5-year period, right? Say the rest of that console cycle, actually about like 7 years in total. That's 13.5 billion in revenue generated from Game Pass, just for those 15 million additional people on top of the 15 million you already had. And so, like, another way to put it is if you had $15 for 5 years, that's $900, right? So if you take it now where it's like $60 for at least for like a new AAA game, over the course of that 5 years you get 15 games, right? Which
I mean,
if you
not
do
bad, really.
If you do it by now's perspective, $70 you're getting 13 games.
Sure.
How like Xbox are able to like bring all these games together, we're getting hundreds of these just incredible games that might fit your needs. And granted, you may only play like one a month, right? But that's so much value you're getting for that $10 when you're thinking of playing like $70 for like a new release. And so you wonder, like, if you're not in the Games Pass bandwagon at this point, I don't know what to tell you.
That and that's the thing, that's the one that really blows my mind. Like, I as much as I've really loved Sony and I really enjoy what Sony does, and I mean, I got excited from the sounds of the UI of the PlayStation 5. Game Pass is still one of the greatest deals you can get. Like, we've all been wanting a Netflix of gaming. It's Game Pass. It is 100% Game Pass, and I'm in it. I love it. I think it's great. And like you said, I might play one game a month out of Game Pass. Well, that's one game a month, whether it's a $60 or $70 game, or even a fantastic indie game that I would have never looked at before. I played it, and I got my money's worth out of it, which is really crazy to me. And there's 15 million other people probably getting the same or close to the same value. Yeah.
And so he talks about that later on as well. I didn't add it to the doc, but he does talk about that being another metric of success, not just the number of people we have in Games Pass, but how many games they're playing and how much time they're spending and how much time they're spending with other people playing games. And so that's all part of it as well. And I think again, we just quoted those numbers. We're not financial experts, right? But if you want to think of it in terms of what we do know, is that every Games Pass sub is way more valuable to Xbox than a $60 purchase of a game, right?
Exactly.
So if you want to like think about it as like, would they rather have someone spending $10 on Elder Scrolls 6 and only having it for that month and then being done with it, or paying $60 for the game on PlayStation, right? I think even then the Games Pass service is still more valuable, right? Because the more people they have signed up to that, it allows them to control the marketplace and steer it in the direction that they want. And that direction is never going to be Games Pass is on every system under the sun that they can put it on, as long as like PlayStation continue not do it, that's fine. We'll put it on Apple, Mac, everything, Android, everything. It'll be like you'll have your Xboxes there. There'll still be Xboxes sold, but like, will it matter? You can like in a streaming future, you can have your Xbox 360 playing these friggin' Xbox Series X games, and it doesn't matter. And so like they're investing a shit ton now that only they can do because they're Microsoft. But it is a big play to like basically grab the whole industry and just shift it in the direction that they want, which is way more important than, again, short-term numbers of Games Pass.
Yeah.
But even then, I don't know what the profit loss margin on that thing is. I don't know how much it costs to put all these indie games on, but like in the long term, in the long term, it's gonna work out. I am sure of it.
No, I agree.
Yeah. And so that was the big meaty quote. There's some other like as interesting things as well. We talked a bit on the show before about this new gen and how big games are and file sizes and all that stuff. Stephen asked the question. I mentioned that Phil Spencer, that Microsoft owned Rare, recently lowered the install size of its pirate game Sea of Thieves, dropping the Xbox exclusive size by some 20 gigabytes, which is a really cool thing that you don't see a lot of developers do post-launch. It's just like not something you care about, but super, super important to the gamers, I'm sure. And he said, yeah, the work you talked about with Rare, that Rare did, is one of those things that we will continue to push for in our teams and with partners to make sure we're respecting the user's SSD space or disk space. He said that Series S and X users can run Xbox One games off an attached hard drive. However, they won't benefit from the newer system's SSD speeds improvements. That's one space-saving technique, though he conceded that the relatively limited storage on the new Xboxes and PlayStations was likely a trade-off in terms of offering speedier SSDs.
Sure.
Bigger drives would have made for more expensive machines. The cost of storage, he noted, will eventually come down. Yeah. And so we do talk about storage in this new gen, and like I was wondering for a long time how they expected us to be able to cope with this 500 gig or almost a terabyte of storage for like these big new high-res 4K games, and like how that was unsustainable. It's so clear to me now that they don't expect you to do that at all. It was a thing where they weighed it up in their minds like the launch price is so much more important, getting people into that ecosystem, and then later down the line making sure that there are these expandable slots for storage so that when the price does come down, you'll be able to just slot those right in and take full advantage and add a terabyte, 2 terabytes, whatever, for the people who care. But like right now, the most important thing is making sure people can access the system at all and get the SSD like speeds going. So yeah, that just makes so much more sense to me now than anything either of these two have said before in terms of storage space.
Just them doing that, like Rare doing that and getting that. Yeah, like, this whole thing has been nothing but like consumer forward thinking for short term and long term, and I've literally loved everything like Phil Spencer and Xbox has been doing so far. Like it is one of the more welcoming concepts when you think about video games. You're like, no, we got you. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be cheap relative, but then we're going to do quality of life improvements down the road. And I agree with you. I think we're going to get an expansion slot. Like I'm holding off on getting the terabyte because they're probably going to release a 2 terabyte one down the road, cheaper, faster, and easier to just pop in. And I think that's great because we're also used to, but a lot of people are used to just kind of flipping their games like, all right, let me uninstall this game so I can play this game. So it's kind of one of those, we don't really have to do it since we're already doing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
But then down the line, when we do get those new SSD cards, the expansion slots, you're right, it's going to be so much easier and so much better just to drop it in and just keep on playing your games.
Yeah. Worth noting as well, just an interesting story on the subject of storage. I think Call of Duty have added or are going to add a update to PC which allows you to selectively install which parts of the game you had. So if
Yes.
you just want Warzone, not the campaign, you can do that. If you don't want Warzone at all and that 100 gigabyte of nonsense, you can throw that out the window. So yeah, storage space is becoming more of a thing in these developers' heads, and it's interesting if those solutions of like reducing the file size afterwards will continue to hold.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, they mentioned their relationship with Nintendo and how that's going. Phil Spencer said, "We've had a very good relationship with Nintendo, and I think we see our work very synergistically in terms of trying to grow the market, and it just makes it easy. Every conversation we have with them has been really easy." He said at good conversations with Nintendo CEO Shintaro Furukawa and Nintendo of America President Doug Bowser, who said he spoke to last week. And then the inevitable question is future Xbox games coming to Switch. To which he said, "It doesn't feel sustainable to consider Xbox games on a case-by-case basis for Switch," and said, "In order to really support it, I would want full Xbox ecosystem somewhere, and that probably means things like Live and Games Pass and stuff."
Cough. Hints.
This is the thing that I've been saying all along, right? And many people have been saying, you've been saying all along as well, is that if they could put Games Pass on a PlayStation right now, they absolutely would, 100%.
Yes.
If they could put Games Pass on a Switch right now, they absolutely would, 100%.
100%. Yes.
And so I think, yeah, you do have to look at these two Ori games, and you have to treat them as the exception rather than an indication of the rule going forward.
Yep.
To me, and I really think this now, especially after this quote, the only reason that Ori was allowed to be put on the Switch is because that game was so underrated in terms of sales, in terms of hype, and they said, hey, this isn't bringing people into the Games Pass sphere, may as well just put it on the Switch. Like recoup some budget for that.
It works there. It fits actually very well on the Switch, so let's just do it. And like you said, get some money back off this bad boy.
Yeah, but I don't think like you'll see anything else on the Switch probably, especially as Games Pass becomes more prevalent. The only other like outlier then is Minecraft. And I think again the reason for that is because like, and again when you think about the time that Minecraft was bought by Microsoft, they were still in a headspace then of we need to sell consoles and we need to get exclusives to get people to buy the console. I don't think anyone was buying an Xbox or a PlayStation for Minecraft, right? That is a platform of a game in itself, right?
Yeah.
So like whether you were on PC or PlayStation or Xbox, it's not going to sell systems on its own. It's just a thing that exists separate to all this console wars nonsense. And so I think that was like they were like, fine, put it on PlayStation, whatever. That's just more players like having Minecraft. That's fine.
Exactly.
So yeah, I don't expect any future Xbox stuff for a long time to come to the Switch unless it's like Ori 3 or something.
Yeah, Ori 3, Game Pass, or even if they are able to do the xCloud, because we do know that the Xbox is going to be kind of a node for xCloud, so that concept of taking, I know Doom is on the Switch, but taking Doom and streaming it to your PlayStation console or Halo, or not PlayStation console, I'm sorry, Nintendo, switching it to your Switch, streaming it to your Switch. That's where I'm very interested in that concept because, like, a lot of people, and you and I have seen some of the reports of like, you've got a PlayStation, you've got a Switch. Well, what happens if xCloud and Game Pass get put on a Switch? Does that really kind of like, oh, maybe I should look at this Xbox thing, and then it becomes an actual node of, you know what, I'm tired. I've been playing Halo, but I still want to play, but let me go lay down, and you just pop it over on your Switch, lay down, and you keep on playing Halo.
Yeah.
Because I know, like we know, Nintendo did a streaming concept because it was Resident Evil 7, I believe, but it was in Japan. So taking that concept and putting it in a home where your Xbox is the node. I don't know, Phil. You can call me about that one.
It's the only thing where it means having an Xbox logo on a Switch on a PlayStation, right?
Mhm.
Where it's like, I don't think they would do that. The only universe where I could see either of them doing that is where they rebrand it as PlayStation Games Pass brought to you by Microsoft or something ridiculous like that. And like they have their own library of games that's different to the actual rest of Games Pass service.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, okay. We got a bet. You want to do a bet? I don't know if we've done this one.
Doing a bet.
Let me scroll down. I know we got our running bets.
Okay.
Okay. No, we haven't done this one. Okay, I got a bet.
Okay.
Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6. Will it start with Xbox Game Studio on it? No matter where you boot up, will it start with Xbox Game Studio?
Oh, so that's like a double layered one where first you have to consider, is it coming out in the PlayStation at all? And if it does, will it have to... Okay.
Yep. Because I am... Actually, no, I'm going to look it up right now. I'm 99% sure that if you boot up Ori on the Switch, it says Xbox Game Pass.
Right.
So, or not Xbox, but Xbox Game Studio. So if Bethesda's within the Xbox, I know they're separate. They're still their own little entity, but they are an Xbox owned studio. Do we know if they've even gotten the Xbox studio flag?
And this is
are they flying that?
I meant to say this earlier in regards to the Bethesda Xbox situation. Because, yeah, they're still operating under their ZeniMax umbrella within the Xbox family. And they're like just operating the same as they were before, pretty much. If these games release on PlayStation, it will be purely and 100% because ZeniMax wanted it to be. Like,
sure.
Xbox, I don't think care either way. If ZeniMax are like, we don't care, it's like, fine, just put it on an Xbox. But it's up to ZeniMax whether they like want to do right by, and again, I say doing right, it's whatever they decide. They can do whatever they want. If they want to like appeal to their audience that's already on PlayStation, if they want to keep selling to them, then that'll be their decision. And so like it's like almost nothing to do with Xbox at that point. It's just ZeniMax. And so, like, I wonder... this will be answered probably when we get Deathloop or Ghostwire Tokyo, whichever one comes out first.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we'll have those. See, and those I kind of see as outliers because
they had the deal.
Phil's already said, like, it was already the deal. We're not going to take away that deal. But now, anything past that deal, those exclusives, because I think both of them now are timed exclusives, aren't they?
I think they were always timed exclusives. I don't think they just had weird phrasing where they had PlayStation console exclusive in there somewhere.
Gotcha. So yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Like, are we going to see
the bet is for
Xbox Game Studio?
The bet's really for Starfield, right? Because Elder Scrolls 6 right now is just a drawing on a piece of paper. There's no game there.
Pretty much.
So Starfield will have the, you know what?
We'll have Xbox Game Studio on it
Starfield
when you boot it up on any console or anywhere.
Starfield will be released on a PlayStation.
Yes, I think it will.
And on PlayStation, it will not have the Xbox Game Studios thing.
You don't think so? All right, I will actually.
It will have.
I'm glad we were doing this because I was going to go the other way.
Yeah.
I think it will.
Okay.
I think the branding is too powerful not to do that. Be like, yes, you are playing on a PlayStation. Yes, you did spend $70 on Starfield, but guess what? You got to spend $15.
Here's the thing, John. I just went through a roller coaster of emotions right now where I was like, I'm having to calm myself down. I was like, that bet's too spicy. But then I rationalized it and I was like, it's a logo on a screen. Like, what?
It's a logo, but that logo means a lot.
We're such dorks. Like, logo.
Look, it's like saying when the Santa Monica Studios pops up, we're like, we're in for a good ride. And now it's going to be Xbox Game Studio, Bethesda.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to see. Yeah. I think we're going to see Xbox Game Studio on anything under the Xbox flag, umbrella, whatever you want to call it. So, all right.
Got to cool down after that. So, the final thing I want to touch on from this Phil Spencer interview is just his thoughts on how Xbox has changed over the past 7 years. To which he said, I think the root of that is getting gamers to trust in the motivations of why we're in the business. And that's the thing I thought we lost around the time of the launch of the Xbox One. People were really questioning the why behind why is Microsoft here. That led to what Spencer said is a player-centric model focusing on games and getting them played by as many people in as many places as they can. Our goal now is putting the player at the center, building our services and our games around the player experience, and making sure that they know we're in the games business. We're not in a different business. We don't aspire to be in a different business, and this is something we're incredibly committed to. That's just like the narrative of this generation for Xbox is like shaking the shackles of the Don Matrick era and the TV, television, sports era, and just like it was like 3 stages. It was like that initial launch that went disastrously, and then Phil Spencer taking the helm from there and sort of like trying to match Sony in the like console wars thing where they're trying to build these exclusives and they're not hitting and they're not selling consoles, and now there's like Xbox's final form where they're just like throwing billions of dollars at big companies and steering the industry wherever they want. It's amazing what that man and his team have been able to do in the past 7 years. It's nuts. Yeah. So good on Xbox. I'll touch on it here, and we can talk about it in the post-show Q&A, but people have been asking us who we think is winning at this stage.
Sure.
And it's like, by what metric, right?
Yeah.
If you're asking me who's going to sell the most consoles, Sony. Every day. If the PlayStation 5 boot-up screen had Sid Schumann screaming at the top of his lungs at you for 30 seconds, the PlayStation 5 would sell more. If the PlayStation 5 controller every now and then just like stuck a hand out and slapped you in the face, the PS5 would sell more. That's just how we live. If you're asking me...
Can we get that thing to happen?
Maybe. There might be mods. I saw someone playing Overwatch with a banana. Who knows? And so, like, again, so if you're asking me who's going to sell the more consoles, PlayStation. If you're asking me who I think is going to have the better games, still PlayStation.
Yeah.
If you're asking me who I'm more excited about for the next few years of gaming and what they could do for the games industry, Xbox every day. I'm so excited about Xbox right now. They're innovating. They're doing all the right moves. Again, it's player-centric. It's about value. I'm nerding out about it every week here on the fucking podcast. You know what I mean? Like, it's exciting stuff. Spicy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We'll get a deeper dive into that in the post-show Q&A, I'm sure, which you can stick around for if you're watching live, if you're listening to the podcast. If you didn't know, we do this live every week on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/playhouselive. We have a pre- and post-show now. It's all good times. You should watch it live if you can. But yeah, then our next story, speaking of acquisitions, Take-Two, or Rockstar, whatever you want to phrase them as, has acquired Ruffian Games and rebranded them as Rockstar Dundee. Ruffian Games, not a lot of people might know. Why are you laughing?
It's just the Rockstar Dundee. That tickles me. Like, I read that and I was like, oh my god, I love this.
You know, Dundee, and because I'm close to Scotland, and so like Dundee is obviously a town in Scotland that they named it after. I never even considered the Crocodile Dundee.
That's where I went. I went Crocodile.
So yeah, Ruffian Games are a studio that I believe made Crackdown 2, have also worked with other Crackdown games, and probably most recently have worked with 343 in the Halo Reach and the Halo Master Chief Collection. So yeah, they have some familiarity with open world and these big AAA games, so it makes sense to Rockstar to bring them into the fold from that respect. Again, Rockstar are basically situated in England and Scotland, so like having all those studios be close by, serving different purposes makes sense for them. Yep. The one thing that's like juicy, I guess, in this story is that because of their work with Halo, the Master Chief Collection, people are like speculating, okay, they're being brought in to like remaster stuff. What are we gonna get remastered? Is it gonna be Red Dead? Is it gonna be all these other games? Right now, I think the focus for them is gonna be porting GTA 5 to the new consoles. I think that's what they were brought in for the most part. After that, who knows? And again, John, I'm not gonna lie, the speculation got me hot. I considered the possibility that Rockstar Dundee could be like this mini Blue Point for Rockstar, right? That we've always wanted. Where it's like, okay, after that you could do Red Dead Redemption 1, you could do Bully, you could do GTA Vice City or San Andreas or like a GTA collection. Like, the backlog of Rockstar games that people have been asking to remake/remaster is endless.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so like that got me like, what would be the Rockstar game in your head? I don't know if you're a big fan of Rockstar games. I don't think I've ever talked to you about it before. What would be the game that you'd be like, if you had like a Blue Point treatment of a Rockstar game from any point in time? Which one?
Okay, so my gut reaction actually goes to either like Red Dead 1. I freaking love that game. That was kind of just an absolute blast, but I'm like, I don't know, especially with Red Dead 2, how it was. I haven't played Red Dead 2. I'm more thinking about the graphic wise and whatnot. Like, it was a fantastic game. I know people want Bully, but I think the one that I kind of want to have, and I know I sound like a dork saying this, and I'm trying to, did Midnight Club. I want a remake of Midnight Club. I want a remastered, up-resed, give me Midnight Club. I love racing games. I look forward to Forza every year. I miss Midnight Club. I want Midnight Club back.
John, Midnight Club, hear me out. Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition Remake.
Fantastic. We're done. I'm good. Let's go.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love Midnight Club.
New Blue Point, or Dundee, or I'm going to call you Dundee from here on out. I need that game in my life.
Yeah. I love Midnight Club so much. That would be top of my list. Probably that and San Andreas for me, because San Andreas was my
I'm
first,
down with San Andreas.
Like GTA game. I played that all the time. My PS2 with my brother. Don't think I
think that was the first one I played.
Yeah,
it was a PlayStation 2 game. I'm pretty sure I rented that from Blockbuster and played it, and didn't let my parents see. I was a kid.
I'm pretty sure, because again, it's just the way I played games, because I was a dumb kid. I didn't do a whole lot of the story. I just watched my brother do it. He got to the train mission and he couldn't get past it. All we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ, that one. And then, like, basically I was just like running around in the open world doing cheats and riding jetpacks and shooting down helicopters. That was all I did in that game. And I would love to do that in 4K.
That'd be great. I'd love it. 4K. Give it to me.
But yeah, so I don't know if I'm getting my hopes up here for a Midnight Club 3 remake, but that would be cool if Rockstar Dundee could get on that. Leading to our final story then is Sega's 60th anniversary. This one is a doozy in that it's like really good, and we'll get to the other stuff. So yeah, their 60th anniversary is this year. They've been talking about it. We did our TGS podcast with Tim and Keith and me, and we were talking about some of the Sega stuff there, and they were highlighting their big 60th anniversary plethora. There was a really good video actually of this guy in the Sega offices, and they just had like a big lineup of all their hardware throughout the years, and so it was like going back to like the initial fucking Mega Drive, and then like here's this Space Harrier arcade machine where you could move with the machine and it would move the player, and it was like cool to see all that. But yeah, they're celebrating this mostly through Steam for this one. This is the Go Sega thing. They're doing this through Steam. Lots of discounts. They're giving away some free games. They gave away Sonic 2 I was playing before the stream. They also give away Nights into Dreams, which I haven't actually played before, and I really want to.
Yeah, I've never played that one either.
It looks weird, but like it looks like my kind of weird, so I'm in it.
Oh, you know what? No, I played the Nights that was on the Wii. I know Rose was like picked out the game one time, and she's like, "I really want to see this." I'm like, "All right," and I played Nights on the Wii.
Are you familiar with a game, John, called Balan Wonderland?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. Have you seen any of the recent gameplay for Balan Wonderland?
I've only seen the trailers. I have not looked at any of the gameplay because it looks trippy as balls, and I'm kind of in on it.
John, I'm excited about that game. It looks rough, dude. The
Oh,
gameplay
does it?
looks real rough right now.
Oh no! Damn it!
It looks proper jank. So
Okay,
yeah,
so no, are we in the concept of like just jank of I don't want to play it, or so jank that it kind of does the room and kind of turns back to like, all right, this is shit, but it's fun shit.
it it's hard to say right now whether it's unfinished or
Mm-hmm.
just the style they're going for. But
Okay.
either way, it doesn't look like a real game.
Damn it! I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I was actually like, I'm gonna probably pick this up because it just looks goofy, but okay, I'm gonna look up some gameplay now because I am scared.
And is it me?
I'm also glad I did not pick it up on our fantasy league because I thought about it.
I did too. Held off on that one. So you've watched the trailer, yeah?
Yes.
Can they just steal music from Mario Odyssey? Is that just a thing they can do?
I think everyone's okay with that. I'm like, why does this sound familiar? And it was like, oh my god, it's Mario Odyssey. What the shit is happening right now?
Almost beat for beat. It was really weird. I was just like, does no one else? No, okay.
What?
But yeah, as part of the Sega anniversary on Steam, they're offering these free games. They're also releasing these little mini games for free. Today is the first one, I believe, that you can actually get. They announced all three. The first one today is Streets of Kamurocho, which is a Streets of Rage Yakuza mashup game. Today is October 17th. You can get it from today all the way through to October 19th, and then it's gone forever.
Okay.
So be sure to get that if you're interested in either of those series. Then the next one is Golden Axe, a cancelled prototype. That's probably the juiciest one. We'll get to why later. And then Armor of Heroes, which is a Company of Heroes themed retro tank game that you would have seen on like older consoles. Like I can't remember. I think it was just called Tank. There was a game just called Tank that was like this, but it's like, it looks like Company of Heroes, which is cool. And yeah, just another like cool thing they did for all their Steam cover art. They redid them to look like they were being released on these old like box cartridge things.
I love that.
Yeah.
I do. I still have a lot of, not a lot, but I still have a couple of my old Sega cartridges with the actual full-on boxes.
I have a single Sonic the Hedgehog cartridge over there, and sometimes you just love to like open the box and close it again. Just open it and close it.
It was a very satisfying click. Let's be honest.
Can I go get and I'll click? For
Oh, actually, Rose just walked in. Go get yours. Rose just
Okay.
walked in for me, so I got one. I thought we had a Sonic one. Did we not? I thought I had Sonic 3 somewhere. I guess not. Actually, give me the Saturn one as well. I mean, we're celebrating Sega's 60 years. If I really thought about it, I would have put it behind me too.
Audience, are you ready for this click? Turn on your headphones, max the audio. Here we go.
Oh God!
So nice.
All right, I got
click.
Echo the Dolphin, and like that was what I liked about it. I actually liked that it was sideways. I don't know why. I always really enjoyed that, and then you had that, like you, just a satisfying click. I have a Sega Saturn. I have not plugged it in. I have no idea if it works. I bought one, and it blows my mind the differences of like the boxes and like the cases, the jewel cases. Yeah, it's just.
And so, John, what's really cool to me is that all these like things that they made, all these little covers they made, they're free to like download as assets from their 65 virtual website. So presumably you could just like get a box, print it out, and make like a box for Total War or whatever. Never released on a Sega system, but like it's cool to have. It looks neat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love just the graphic design from that era. It's really really neat. So yeah, that's cool. And so yeah, most of this is jolly. Most of this is upbeat. Celebrating Sega. But it wouldn't be the games industry if there wasn't some like dark backstory underneath. So I turn your attention to Tim Dawson, and I'm just going to read his Twitter thread. Tim Dawson was a person who worked on, we mentioned that they released the Golden Axe cancelled prototype for a new Golden Axe game. He was one of the people who worked on that prototype, and so here's his story. So he woke up to the surprising news that Sega is releasing the Golden Axe prototype I coded in 2012 under crunch conditions. At least I'm not alone. This appears to be a surprise to everyone I know who actually worked on it. This project was my personal nexus of nightmare for hours. Inept management, industry realizations, and heroics achieved with a small team under unreasonable conditions. So it's an odd feeling to see it surface again 8 years later without context, credits, and with a joke title sequence. It exists because, and again, I'm just going to call her Santana. It's a Twitter handle, so I assume Santana's name. And I have delivered the Castle of Illusion prototype that was maintaining the studio. A producer we trusted asked us if we could make a polished gameplay prototype for an internal Golden Axe pitched in 2 weeks and land the second project. We agreed because we were assured management wanted us to develop it our way, i.e. another Miracle Please, but did mandate a darker, bloodier Golden Axe with splatter and decapitations and 2-button combat. So we tried to combine all of that with the spirit of the original game. This would have been difficult line to walk at any time, but we had another 2 weeks. We had 2 weeks and no time to iterate, so we made do. Just really attacked the design, knowing we wouldn't be able to course correct much. But luckily, we had a talented team of artists, animators, and sound designers. Much less luckily, we also had a lead designer who thought he was designing it, and sometimes Santana would have to physically block him from reaching my workstation, or he'd start explaining insights he'd received playing the mobile port on the train on the way to work. He took to inventing arbitrary challenges like management wants to see an attack animation playing in game by the end of the day, or they'll think the project is in trouble, while I was busy coding enemy AI and softlock combo systems simultaneously. A week or so in, the lead campaign for branching the prototype and making a Streets of Rage pitch concurrently, because to him they were the same game. It took me sending a 2 a.m. email to the studio head and a let's go for a coffee and chat the next morning to get that stopped. But the biggest gut punch came a week and a half in. Combat was working. It was all on track. I was called in for a meeting in the big room, so I put the latest build on the network and went to see what's up. All of management was sitting around a big table. I showed the game. Grave faces. There was a pause. Where's the wow factor? Someone asked. The lead designer once again complained that it wasn't a God of War-like 3D brawler that he wanted. Someone said maybe it'd be even better if they had made a pre-rendered video where the barbarian fought a monster. I experienced a moment of clarity, either because they couldn't see what was in front of them or wanted me to feel bad because it's the only way they knew how to manage. I was the guy who makes playable prototypes. I had over-delivered, and if they didn't want that, they screwed up. I'd be working 14-hour days, but I went home on time that day. I lay on my bed staring at the ceiling. They didn't want it. They wanted something else entirely. I came to the conclusion they didn't matter. I would continue doing exactly what I intended to do and try to deliver what Santana and I had planned from the beginning. So I did. Effects and polish were added, more sounds implemented, combat things sped up, and input windows widened to make combos executive friendly. The finished build was revealed, and the same management team that negged me earlier lined up to tell me how good it was now. I felt dead inside, not just because of a couple of long 7-day work weeks and start of the RSI in my right arm, but because I had no trust left in the people who ran things. My God, that's a lot to take in.
Wait. I was reading along with you. I've got to read this one.
Okay.
From the Steam page. Okay. Golden Axe may be janky, may be buggy, may be an artifact of its time, but it offers a unique glimpse into the prospect of a project that could have been. Go F yourselves, parasites.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And so like that's what I'm getting to, like, where it's like, oh cool, they released this cancelled prototype for a Golden Axe thing. Ain't that neat? I wish we had a Golden Axe game. And you're like, oh, this was hell for someone and their team for ages. And like, now they're not even getting credit for it, I guess. They're not in the credits. They didn't let them know that they're just releasing this. Maybe the team who's in charge of that didn't know these people because it was 8 years ago. Who knows? Yeah. But it goes back to what we were talking about like earlier with crunch and crunch culture. and how it's not just about like mandatory extra days to get a task done by a deadline, but it's some sort of disparity between the higher ups of management and the actual people who are tasked with making these games, and the stresses they are put under to jump through these hoops for people who don't understand how every game is a miracle and none of them should have been finished. And it's just like, it sucks to see. I'm torn up because, like, again, the like developer and the human being in me is reading this, like, just thinking like, oh man, that sucks.
Yeah.
But like, there's a like niggling voice in the back of my mind where I'm just like, really want another Golden Axe game.
Yeah. Do I play this?
Yeah.
Well, I feel dirty if I play this.
And so like,
I'm right there with you.
I was thinking in my head, like, this sucks and they should be called out for it. They could make it right by like, to me it's like when Looney Tunes like show one of their old racist cartoons and they're like, hey, we're not going to pretend this didn't happen, but like, just know we don't approve of that anymore. And like, you know, Daffy Duck,
this was done in a period of time where things were extremely different and people didn't know better, and we're not going to sugarcoat that one. That was then, this is now, we're a lot different. I follow you on that one. They could say that.
Yeah, I think you can make this right by on the Steam page basically saying, hey, here's the people who did this. It was grueling for them. Maybe we weren't the people who were there at the time, but we'd like just got up in this story and we want to like extend our gratitude that this was even made, and like shout outs to these guys, go hire them because they're great. Like, that's how they could do that in my head. Maybe add a credit sequence at the end. I don't know if it's too late for that now. But it's just like very sobering and a reminder that every game is a miracle, and the grueling conditions, the very warlike conditions that these people work under.
Yeah, it looks like the Santa Ana Mishra, he founded Witchbeam Games, and they made Assault Android Cactus.
Yes.
Which is actually a fun game. I've played other. It's pretty great, actually.
Never heard of that game.
It was free on Xbox Game Pass one day, I think, or maybe live Games with Gold, and I just picked it up and I played a little bit. It's a nice little if I remember correctly, twin stick shooter-esque kind of game. Let me pull it up real fast, make sure I'm talking about it. Yep, yeah, that's exactly what I thought it was.
And so I thought it was interesting. I kind of skipped over it. But Tim in this tweet thread mentions, where is it? Where is it? Okay, yeah. Not because of the couple of 7-day-long work weeks in the start of the RSI in my right arm that would go to jeopardize the development of Android Cactus. So this Golden Axe prototype had repercussions on his future work.
Mm-hmm.
That's how bad it was. Messed up. Don't do that. I want to be in a world where I can play games and not feel like
a complete
guilty.
asshole for playing said game.
Yeah. And so, like, again, I think this, like, having these like prototypes and these like things are great for like video game history buffs and preservationists, and having that out there is important, and I think you still should put it out. But also, big disclaimer right there in the Steam page and maybe in the credits. So yeah, again, Sega, you're doing good in a lot of things. Maybe acknowledge some of the times where you didn't do so good, and that goes for all game development.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all our news stories for this week. John, it's been a pleasure as always.
Always.
We will see how our bet goes with the Starfield having the Xbox logo or nay. Yeah, if you're on Twitch watching us live right now at this moment, live in your faces, you can stick around for the post-show Q&A that we're going to do for a little bit here. If you are listening to this as a podcast or watching this as a podcast video on YouTube, you can find us here every week doing this live and recording this. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple, all your good podcasting services that you may endeavor to listen to us on. You can find us at entertheplayhouse.com, Twitter at enterplayhouse, Instagram entertheplayhouse. You can find me on Twitter at HyFinated. John's Twitter is
We'll go with Couchcapades this week.
Okay. I always want to plug your Twitter, but I can never remember the sequence of numbers for your personal Twitter handle.
Oh, personal, yeah, JohnBox3414.
Okay. So yeah, that'll be us for this week, and then we'll see you guys again next week for another one of these. Until then, see you later.
Bye.